SCP-4755. When we are omnipotent. Following anomaly is Level 6 4755 classified. By accessing the remainder of this document, you understand that you will be exposed to an incapacitating cognitohazard until your identity is confirmed. If you are not a registered member of the Overseer Council, attempting to access SCP-4755 constitutes a Class 5 infraction unless otherwise permitted. Current access, Level 6, General. Accept conditions. Welcome, 059. Item number 4755. Level 6, Cosmic Top Secret. Containment class, Esoteric. Secondary class, Enochian. Disruption class, Amida. Risk class, Notice. Special containment procedures. Foundation influenced contacts within spheres of education, literature, and philosophy are to monitor general public awareness of SCP-4755 as a phenomenon. Additionally, obfuscation and/or interruption of study into SCP-4755 within these fields is not to occur. These two requirements do not constitute true containment procedures and are considered self-perpetuating. Containment of SCP-4755 itself is impossible to achieve and has likely already occurred. However, containment of MTF Tau 5, Samsara's Team Leader T-E5 Arantu Mark 72 has been raised to an Alpha level priority. The extant T5 Arantu is not considered a threat at this time. Description: SCP-4755 designates the ultimate purpose of conceptualization, which is containment. All human-derived concepts, including but not limited to literary constructs, philosophy, and emotions, aim to establish control over a threat, a disadvantageous narrative, or an opposing philosophy, in an analogous manner to the Foundation's containment of anomalous phenomena. Individuals participating in conceptualization are usually unaware of their ulterior containment motive, believed to result from SCP-4755's self-containing properties. These conceptual effects are assumed to be retroactive in nature, suggesting large-scale alterations made to the local timeline and adjacent universes. It is currently hypothesized that SCP-4755 will be properly manufactured at some point in the future, but its effects have, practically, always existed. Although the Foundation has been aware of SCP-4755 since 1987, its origin is as of yet unknown. Discovery of the method by which it will be created has likewise been obstructed. Conducted studies and investigations have predominantly focused on its properties, which, while expansive, are believed to affect conceptualization in a tiered system. This has been illustrated below. Designation: Tier Null. Physical. Description: Observable reality composed of matter and energy. Example: Non-applicable. Physical objects have not been affected by SCP-4755. Designation: Tier 1. The Abstract. Description: All thought constructs pertaining to literature, philosophy, emotion, etc. Example: The Hero's Journey, a cyclical literary trope wherein the hero begins as normative within a community, experiences augmentation of character or body without the community, and is unable to reintegrate. The community has effectively contained the anomalous individual by rendering its coexistence with the community impossible. Designation: Tier 2. The Divine. Description: All conceptualization of deities or deific entities. Examples: Yahweh, the arrival of Lucifer, also known as the Morning Star or the Bringer of Light. The references to motif of light which characterizes the veil are evidence. In the Garden of Eden is believed to be a biblical allegory for a containment breach, and the doctrine of original sin as the first redefinition of normalcy by an overseeing entity. Designation: Tier 3. The Exophysical. Description: all conceptualizations of concepts in the abstract. Example, SCP-4260, Death Incarnate, functioning as a containment procedure for life's propagation. It is currently contained within Subterranean Facility Area 03. Designation, Tier 4, Anti-Noospheric. Description, entities existing above standard conceptualization. Example, unknown. Encompasses all ideas and objects which humanity cannot currently perceive or entertain in the abstract. Designation, Tier 5, SCP-4755. Description, non-applicable. Example, the SCP Foundation, a multinational clandestine organization dedicated to containment. Its discovery has been prevented by the Veil Protocol and related projects. Given the exact nature of SCP-4755 is poorly understood, research and containment efforts are expected to continue indefinitely. Addendum 4755.1 Transmission Log. On May 13, 2005, Site-76, a research and development facility specializing in exophysical phenomena, received the following broadcast on secure channels from an undetermined source. Requesting intel. This is MTF-T5 lead Irantu, Mark 72, activated on June 21st of 2103 to replace Mark 71. This is iteration 532 of this transmission, requesting intel on the current status of codename Alpha Lima Mike Echo. My need for response is urgent. Requesting intel. This is MTF-T5 lead Irantu. The transmission was assumed to be an anomaly unrelated to SCP-4755, and communications were established with T5 Irantu with intent to initiate the Ashby Protocol. A general practice is Foundation containment standard wherein interaction with an anomaly is strictly prohibited. Immediately afterward, to lessen the risk of temporal paradoxes and cross-temporal contamination, the director of Site-76 and Dr. Preston Brax established communications after overseer consensus was reached. Requesting intel. This is MTF-T5 lead Irantu. MTF-T5 lead Irantu. You have been temporally displaced. We're assuming your internal database has been damaged or excised as you have not followed the proper procedures to return to your subjective time frame. We are willing to orate the relevant material, but will immediately enact the Ashby Protocol afterward. Negative. The Ashby Protocol does not apply to containment. Which conceptual tier am I in communication with? Stand by, Irantu. The Ashby Protocol will not be enacted. An emergency overseer council meeting is arranged to confirm the best practice for intentional cross-temporal contamination. After it is confirmed that the extant Mark 8 Irantu unit was accounted for, communications resumed. Irantu, the council has determined that communications may continue. Are you receiving this? Affirmative. Which conceptual tier am I in communications with? Tier null. I understand. I am currently exiting Tier 1. Your nature as a Tier null conceptual anomaly indicates that codename Alpha Lima Mike Echo was a success. I have been selected as your temporary liaison. Please elaborate. After abandoning my physical body in Tier null, I was given a delayed ascension to assist in your containment. I am currently progressing upward along the conceptual tiers. Forgive me, I am about to enter Tier 2. The intervening audio is gargled and ambiguous. This distortion lasts for 20 seconds before abating. Can you explain what you mean by our containment? Has Directive Alpha 2 been altered? Negative. The doctrine of the Foundation has always been containment. In your time, you used the Veil Protocol to contain the Foundation. Operation Almaresh is the Veil Protocol summated. Arantu, it would benefit both of us if you could speak straightforwardly. If no sufficient information can be gained from you would impose the Ashby Protocol on a god? We have, and we will. State your motivation. My directive is to contain, Doctor. Your Foundation cannot be exempt from this. In the year 2103, my Foundation will outgrow its proverbial nest and flee into the stars, leaving only a cracked shell to suggest its presence. Your Foundation is the eggshell, and mine is the bird. Arantu, are you all right? Forgive me. The Foundation traveled instantaneously to their destination, but I alone am experiencing divinity. Regardless, my well-being is irrelevant. All right, if I understand you correctly, hold communications. I am exiting Tier 2. The audio again becomes indistinct for several seconds. Are you there, Arantu? In a sense, I am less Arantu and more the idea of Arantu. Noted. If I understand the parable correctly, are you suggesting the Foundation has become a Tier 5 conceptual anomaly? Negative. I am saying that it always was Tier 5. Your limited perception of containment as a set of concrete and metal facilities located on a spinning rock is merely the residual effect of its elevation throughout all times and places. Containment has permeated and proliferated. The Foundation's final directive has already been accomplished, and we have contained reality itself. And will my Foundation accomplish this as well? In time, that is your containment procedure. You must complete Operation Almaresh, otherwise my communication with you becomes complicated. I'm sorry, are you threatening us with the bootstrap paradox? It is not a threat if you agree. If you do not, however, you risk immense damage to your timeline. And if we fail? You quite literally cannot fail, Doctor. Now then, I believe our conversation is about to be interrupted. I approach Tier 4. Communications cut out at this point. The Overseer Council and Dr. Brax engage in minor deliberations during the intervening minutes before communications resume. The view is incredible, Dr. Brax. I can see the universe as it really is, in all times and in all places. I can see you too on your little world beneath me. I do not mean to be rude, but it is objectively small. No offense taken, Arantu. Does this mean you will cease communication from now on? Not immediately, no. I am still approaching the seal. The seal? Affirmative. It is the ceiling, an impassable stone barrier into which we carved our insignia. We marked the conceptual universe as our own. I can see the researchers and overseers in D-Class welcoming me home. I would apologize to them if I could. Arantu, please explain that comment. Does it need an explanation, Doctor? I have already told you that containment has become a universal constant. There will always be the watchful eye of a deity, always the rigid authoritarianism of the intrinsic, always the abyss which will stare back, always the Foundation. We have made infantilization a universal dogma. After 2103, there will be no choice. There will be no threat to uniformity. There will only be containment. And who watches the watchman? Arantu, you're not. Please consider the ethics of I approach the ceiling, Doctor. Even if I could have had a choice in the matter, the time to act has eluded me. We are initiating the Ashby Protocol. Communications will be terminated immediately. Save yourself the trouble. I have a Foundation to contain. The audio ended following a loud explosive crash and sound reminiscent of splitting stone. Dr. Brax immediately terminated the connection following this. No further communication from T5 Iron 2 has occurred. Addendum 4755.2 Update. General Level 6 4755 Memo. Operation Al-Maresh has been initiated and will conclude in 2103. The project is expected to entail the increased containment of conceptual anomalies for general study. In time, a method will be discovered by which the Foundation may instantaneously ascend to a Tier 5 conceptual state. Upon the conclusion of Operation Al-Maresh, T5 Iran 2, Mark 72, will contact a past iteration of the SCP Foundation and relay the necessity of Operation Al-Maresh. The aftermath of T5 Iran 2's involvement is presumably an unavoidable consequence of the operation. Per General Overwatch Consensus, see Minutes 4755 2005-37, failure to complete Operation Al-Maresh has been deemed optimal so as to instigate a containment failure of the SCP Foundation. However, this is presently infeasible. Research is ongoing.